Super juiced to have you on the show. Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
bud.
it. Yeah, hell yeah.
Of course.
Ivan Mum. Sebi says episode 4.
Yeah.
I've known Ivan since high school. We took Spanish class together. You
Yeah.
remember that?
Hell yeah, dude.
Spanish, bro.
I was a sophomore and you were a itty bitty little freshman boy.
Yeah.
And you were just sitting in the class like
Wide-eyed.
curly hair, like, and just kind of like, and then I just remember being like, what are you doing here? And then you were like, I'm already really good at Spanish. Like, I got advanced. And I was like, all right, I already don't like you.
I love that.
But after a while, we got a pretty good friendship. And I
Yeah.
feel like I was just like, this is my little buddy.
Yeah. I grew on you.
Oh, for 100%.
Yeah.
And I also like, I figured out that you had a sense of humor, and that's pretty much all I look for in a friend. Like, that's about it. That's all I need. If you'll laugh with me, if you'll joke with me, then we're good to go.
We can rock.
Yeah.
I had this trainer at Anytime Fitness, and before he met me, like before I actually started talking with him, he was like, "Man, I just thought you had little man syndrome." He was like, "I didn't really. You rubbed me the wrong way." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Are you serious?" I'm the nicest guy. I
Damn.
swear to God. And then like we ended up being cool.
Did you try to big time him or something?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think like maybe like out of my, this is when I was a lot younger too. I think like when I was maybe walking around the gym, it was just like
Kinda
a matter
puffed
of,
up.
yeah, just like feeling
Yeah.
feeling confident in myself, or at least giving that illusion, so that
Yeah. I think that's exactly why I avoid gyms. Because
Yeah.
I don't feel confident inside of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
this lanky guy. We could go shoot some hoop. I might show you something there,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna embarrass myself at a weight set. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I feel you. Dude, it's funny because I'm glad you mentioned that I was a freshman and that you were a sophomore. I thought you were so fucking cool back at high school. I swear to God. Yeah, no, I thought you were cool as
pretty
shit.
cool.
I was
No.
like, yo, I was tight.
But it's funny you say that because I thought I was really cool,
Yeah.
like, and I think I was like a little arrogant in that sense.
Uh-huh.
But I truly believed it. I promise you that.
Hey,
I was like, I listen to MF Doom. I listen to Wu-Tang. Everyone else here sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, it was very...
and I think that's why I gravitated towards you too. It was
Yeah.
very what?
I felt like so like punk rock, hip hop, like I don't mess with
cut from
any
a
of these
different
people.
cloth.
Yeah, like, and now looking back on it, it was very divisive and mean, frankly. But at the same time, it was like, it kind of helped me shield people who I probably wasn't gonna get along with,
Yeah.
And it also endeared me to a lot of the teachers because they liked me because I was a free thinker and I would question them and like bring stuff up that no one else would bring up. And then they're like, all right, we like this kid. Like,
He's not
he
just.
kind of sees behind the curtain a little bit and he's not just doing what we say. But yeah, I mean, I was a little prick, dude.
I remember.
Sophomore year.
Uh-huh.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
If there was footage,
Is there
of
like
it,
a cringe?
if there
Is
was,
there like a
yeah,
cringe moment? That
yeah,
comes
for
to
sure.
mind?
If
What's
there
one
was
of them?
footage of it, I wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got like, I remember I got 4 Saturday detentions because a stink bomb went off in my backpack my freshman year, and it was in the middle of English class. I forget his name.
It went off accidentally.
Well, and this is real. I ended up using it as an excuse, but it was the truth. My mom and dad have always been divorced, so I would always go back and forth. And I had bought some stink bombs in San Pablo, and I was taking them to my dad's house, and I was in the middle of the transfer. My dad was going to pick me up from school, and my dumbass, I had them just sitting loose in my backpack. And
That was a ticking time bomb.
John Broussard, I don't know if we're using names. Fuck it,
It's
John
good.
Broussard.
It's good. That's the boy. Yeah.
He like stepped on my backpack and it popped. And I don't know if you smelled one of those, but they are like horrendous.
They reek, right?
Particularly
Yeah.
in small spaces.
Yeah.
So I forget the English teacher, Mr. Alatorre, who I credit to this day.
Cool cat, great teacher.
With making me fall in love with the English language. Like, he was such a good teacher. He taught me so many words and like poetic devices and stuff. I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I will say our high school experience was, say what you want about it, my English teachers, all of them lights out, and they're the reason why I love writing, talking, singing, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
poetry. They hooked me up. Like, I feel like I had a leg up because I learned a lot about the masters of poetry and writing very early on. But anyway, the stink bomb goes off, and this fool, I look over at him, and I don't know if you remember, but he used to keep his tie flipped over his shirt like this.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he was like, there's a miserable little imp in this room, and he knows who I'm talking about.
No.
And he set off a stink bomb, and now we all have to suffer for it. He's like, I'm not going to say any names, but this person should know he will pay the consequences. And I was just like, oh my God, he knows it's me. And then sure enough, the bell rings. My dumb ass, I think I'm scot-free. So I'm like,
You start trying to walk out?
I'm like, next class.
Yeah.
So I go to the next class, and I'm sitting there, and I think it was like Miss Stanton, religion. She's got to be dead by now. R.I.P. But we're sitting there, and Mr. Cobb walks in, and I don't know this dude. I'm not in his class.
Mr. Cobb is the big black dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
He walks in, unmistakable, and he walks in. He's like, "Which one of you is Ivan?" And I was like,
That was a great impression.
and I was like,
yeah, yeah.
he's like, "Come with me."
Uh-huh.
So I go down to Tarch's office. At the time, Tarchioni was the dean. And he's like, "What happened up there?" And I was like, "Man," I was like, I had a stink bomb in my bag.
Who was the dean?
His name was Tarchioni. I don't know his first name.
Yeah.
He talked like Kermit the Frog with a little bit of subwoofer in his voice. Like, it was like, it was cool dude. But I was in his office, and then he was like, "I got to give you 4 Saturday detentions." And I was like,
Oh, shut up. I thought you were going to tell me these were all separate occasions that you got it.
no.
Man, that must have been a
So
hell of a
it was a
stank.
little sentence.
Yeah.
And so I showed up 3 Saturdays in a row. They had me legitimately doing like manual labor, like splitting wood for the fucking priests. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Splitting wood for the priests. I was painting huge like containers, like storage containers that people make houses out of now.
Yeah.
Doing like legitimately like
Labor. Like you were sweating.
So I did 3 weeks.
You weren't just picking up trash.
No,
Yeah.
it was for real. And then the 4th week, that Friday before, he walks up to me and he's like, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Good, man. What's up? Like, I don't want to talk to you." No, the dean.
Oh, uh-huh.
He's like, "Well, you've done really good the past 3 Saturdays, so I'm gonna cancel your 4th one on good behavior." And I was like, "What are we? This is prison?" I was like, "Thanks, man." Like, I was hyped because I had tomorrow off, but yeah, it was a wild time. High school was crazy.
That's hella funny.
Just too small, like so small. Everyone knows everything, but I was a rebellious little smart mouth asshole,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to own up to that. I still am,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's funny.
Dude, yeah. Just with that comment, you were like, when White was like, "You think I could get the Wi-Fi?" No. You said,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, fucking figure it out. You're the video guy.
I love it. I love it. Who was like one of the free thinkers that what you were talking? I mean, excuse me. I know that they had mentioned that they appreciated the fact that you were a free thinker. That they saw that you kind of were able to see things behind the curtains. But you had mentioned that like he put you on like some of like your favorite poets or wordsmiths.
Yeah, like for him, I could tell like when you mispronounce something or you wrote something down wrong, like grammar wise, it really bothered him. And I was like, why? And now I relate to it so much because I can't stand when people misspell things. I can't stand when people use words that aren't real words. Like, I don't know where you guys stand on
Conversate?
Yes.
I lose it.
It's converse.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, but yes, that's minute in the grand scheme of things. But like to me, I'm just like, like you didn't do your homework. No one ever told you. Yeah. But it's beyond that. Like, I don't know. I also think like I like to curse just like everyone else, but I think people who curse a lot is lazy. Like you're trying to create effect where you have no skill. You know what I'm saying? Like people who can manipulate the English language to do what they want and do it well and be clever, they usually do it without cursing. Mm-hmm. A lot of the great early rappers from the late 80s, early 90s, cursing was not really there. Yeah. Like if you look at a Rakim, who's considered one of the greatest MCs of all time, never cursed. He was just that nice. He didn't have to. He could make impact without cursing. So I find, and I tell my little brother this all the time. I'm like, dude, stop. Like, okay, you get like one F-bomb per hour. Like, if you use it over and over again, it loses its luster. Like,
Yeah.
just say what you want to say, be funny. But if you fucking this, fucking that, it's annoying after a while. You're like, it's like a crutch. It's like, why can't you formulate a regular sentence? You need to like constantly curse. It's also sometimes funny when people are like,
What the fuck?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a very powerful word.
I love it.
But you got to use it. It's like a nuke. Just drop it all day.
Right. There's an art form to it too.
Yeah. But yeah, my English teachers were cool, man. Mr. Harris, I don't know if you remember him.
I do.
He was super cool.
2 forearm tattoos.
Yeah.
One on each forearm. He stood out.
He actually pulled me aside very early on, and he was like, "You're partying too much, I can tell." And I was like, "I'm a junior in high school. Like, how the hell do you know that?" He's like, "I can just tell by the way you're acting." Like, he's like, "You should be getting an A in this class, and you're getting a B minus." And I was like, "That's all I want is a B minus." Like, I'd rather.
Dude, you were so funny.
Yeah.
So you didn't take it back, and you were like, "All right, bet. Like, I'm gonna."
Nah, because at the time
Polish
I
up.
valued the time
Right.
of studying and just hanging out with my friends more. Like, I didn't want to study.
Yeah.
Plus, like, everybody in that class used to cheat on the quiz. Everyone knew the desks were right next to each
close
other.
to each
You'd just be
other.
like,
Oh, that's what's up. Oh, that's what's up.
but I loved Mr. Harris. He was a great teacher. Some of the books he made us read, I skimmed them. They were pretty boring, but really cool dude.
He spent a Christmas with us once.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy. I got along with him on a personal level. School was very difficult for me because I was just like, can we skip ahead to like the really cool stuff? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to read this standardized book that's everyone in the country is reading.
Yeah.
Like, show me the gold.
What was the juice? What was the one that was like, oh fuck, okay, this is one that
There really weren't any, man. I gotta be honest. Like, every book, I was just like, it really wasn't until I started finding books on my own. Maybe that's the hipster in me. Maybe I just didn't want them to be recommended or given to me. I wanted to find them on my own.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until I was like a young adult where I started finding like books I really like. I'm also got into graphic novels.
Yeah.
And then that was just like,
Comics.
yeah, that's my preferred method of like reading. I like novels, but they're really hard to like chew on
Yeah.
and really get into unless they're, really easy reads. But comics is my jam.
Which was the comic that set you off that just took you flying?
Well, I inherited a huge collection from my dad when I was like 15, 16. He had a lot of like Conan the Barbarians and like old Marvel joints. And then that's what kind of got me into the aesthetic of reading, each panel, whoop-de-whoop. And then I got into graphic novels, which are like trade paperbacks that are like basically 6 comics in one.
Oh shit. Oh
And
yeah,
then,
I know what
and
you're
then
talking
once
about.
I got into those, I was just like, now, dude, I just told you I moved. And so I had to kind of like take inventory.
Yeah.
And dude, I have like 400 graphic novels.
Did you take them all?
And
with
I've
you?
trimmed down like significantly. Like
It's so hard for me to do.
it's very difficult. Same with clothes. But like, dude, and then the singles, I haven't even counted those. My comic collection is it's ridiculous. But what's crazy is I keep it all at my dad's in Oakland, and there was a fire right by his house.
Shut up.
It's like 3 or 4 months ago, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey, there's a fire. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Our house is probably gonna burn down." He's like, "What do you want me to
Oh
grab?"
fuck, you told me about that. I ran into you at the football
Yeah.
game.
And I was just like, and in my mind, I'm like, all the comic books. And then I'm like, that's going to take 4 hours. So they're out. So I mentally accepted that they were going to go.
Uh-huh.
So I just asked him to like grab my computer that I have there with all my beats and songs on it. So he grabbed that. And then I'm like, I'm at my job just sitting there like, oh, my comics are fucking burning right now. And I'm just like, everyone's trying to talk to me. And I'm just like,
I don't give a fuck what you're saying right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, man.
Do you have one that inspired you that just, or is there one that inspires you now? Like more than any other one that maybe has given you some sort of
Before the movie Watchmen came out, there
Uh-huh.
was I read the graphic novel by Alan Moore, and Alan Moore is like probably the best comic book writer of all time as far as like the ability of like social commentary and just like writing things that are clever, funny, but also like speaking on shit. Like it's like
that's actually going
pointing
on.
things out, and it's super. It makes you think, which is hard to do as a writer, you know. Like, but Watchmen was the first one where I was like, damn, this is, and it was a recommendation. I was pretty young, and then the movie came out, and I thought the movie was pretty true to the book as much as it could be. Um, I enjoy it, especially when I take a little mushrooms. Watch Watchmen on mushrooms. It's incredible.
I can imagine.
But now I'm into pretty much. There's a comic publisher called Image Comics. Anything they put out, I at least check or read the first issue and just see if I like it. And then if I like the first issue, I'll wait for the trade paperback, the volume. But I always recommend people Saga. Saga is a great comic book. I'm just waiting for them to like option it into a series.
What is it about?
It's essentially about like two interplanetary empires. One of them has wings and one of them has horns, and it's kind of like
The two different
It's essentially a religious
races.
race vendetta, and they're fighting for the universe. But what happens is there's this prisoner on this prison. Her name's Alana, and she has wings, and then she bones one of the guards with horns, and they create this hybrid kid.
Oh,
who
shit.
basically creates a huge rift in the galaxy.
yeah,
So
right.
the discovery of this kid who has both features,
horns
will,
and wings. Yeah.
will essentially destroy the war machine and force
Them
a
to
coming
coexist.
together.
Yeah.
And no one wants that. So the whole series, they're
love
just
it.
going and going,
Oh,
and
shit.
amazing writing, amazing art.
Word.
Highly recommend Saga. I'm thoroughly surprised it's not a series yet. Like
a show on like Netflix or something.
It's perfect.
Yeah. It
Probably
is
big
coming,
budget,
huh?
but I'm sure. But yeah, that's Brian K. Vaughan. He wrote that. Fiona Staples did the art. I'm like a super comic nerd.
No, I know. I love that. I wanted to ask you about it, so I'm glad
Yeah,
we're on the
yeah,
subject.
yeah. I'm all over that. I got a ton of stuff. I could bring you, tables of stuff. It would take you months to read. I actually have a collecting problem. I have a stack of 100 of them I haven't read yet. I just like
No way, really?
I
That's
just
just
like
that you have?
I just like having them.
Yeah,
I
right,
like it's like CDs, or like maybe it's like an old nostalgia thing from when we grew up, but like just having the physical media to me is very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, love that stuff. And it also inspires me to write, because I'll read a comic and I'm just like, wow, that was so cool. Like, it's possible to write something original, because I think that's a tricky thing with creatives now, is like you can kind of trick yourself into believing that everything's been done. So you're just kind of like
nothing new is under the sun.
yeah, which technically is true. Every idea or movie that you see, you could probably deduce to like, oh, they took a little bit of this and a little bit of that and smashed it together. But ultimately, if you truly believe that everything's been done, then you ain't gonna make nothing. So you got to kind of trick yourself into believing that original thought is still possible, which I still think it is. And anyone who's a lyricist has to believe that. Otherwise, you wouldn't write shit down.
Yeah, right. Is there one that recently that reminds you of a recent lyric, or at least a recent song, a comic that it was like, oh shit, I gotta get on the mic right now because I gotta write this shit down because I'm about to just spew.
Every once in a while, I'll like, not recently, but every once in a while, I'll find a passage in a book and I'll just write it down in my Google. I have a Google Notes. I have a doc in it's just called Notes, and it's like, I don't know how many, like 80 pages long of just like ideas or word combinations that I want to use for songs. Some of them I use immediately. Some of them get buried at the bottom. But yeah, everyone steals from somewhere. I steal a lot from comics, literature, obscure movies. Anywhere where I hear a sequence of words where I'm like, I haven't heard that anywhere yet, and it's funny or it's profound, I'm zapping that. I mean, that's how that's how art works.
I love it, but you feel like you're the first person to it, right? It's like, yo, let me.
Yeah, like if I haven't heard it in a song before, or that sequence of words presented in any media, I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So what got you into music, bro? Like what inspired you? What was the catalyst to it being like, all right, yo, I want to like this is my shit. Like this is
Like to
fun.
be a recording artist?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Like what was your first
Well,
album?
here's what I'll say. I grew up under a lot of different musical influences. Like my mom was like heavy into Motown and salsa music. Like like she was into a lot of stuff, but it was Motown and salsa music. And I remember like driving with her in her car. We had this Motown tape. It was like a best of, had like all the Smokey Robinson, Temptation stuff on it. And that was when I first was like listening to it. And then like I would learn the words by memory, sing. And that's when I realized I like to sing.
Yeah.
So I'd sing in the car, and God bless my mom. I probably sounded horrible, but I was just like belting shit in our tiny little like Honda. And she would just be like, yeah, go.
Yeah, baby.
Like she was my number one fan.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I have my dad, who I'm very similar to in stature, personality, mannerisms. Like we're very similar. But my dad put me onto like, super cool, like Hendrix. Like I was like 6, 7 years old. He would drop off CDs at my house. Like, here you go. It's kind of like a subscription service almost. Like he would be like, I'm trying to make sure my son is dope. So he would be like,
right, for sure.
here's the Hendrix, here's the Led Zeppelin,
sure
here's
he
the
gets put
Ozzy
on.
Osbourne, like the hard, like really cool, like hard sounding stuff. But my dad was also a MC, so he made hip hop music.
Shut up! I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, he was in a group. Well, in high school, he was. This is like during like, let's see, 68. So my dad was like in high school in like 85, 86. He was a senior, and this is when hip hop was like booming. So he joined a group, and then that got him a little more attention. He joined a group called the Surf MCs, and if you look on MTV,
No way.
they were on the first episode of Beavis and Butthead.
No
way. His group's video, and it's called Surf or Die.
Yeah.
He's not particularly proud of it. I'm proud of it just based on the cultural like stamp he put on.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you were on MTV
Yeah,
in the 80s.
that's sick.
Like, come on.
Yeah, right.
But he, then he kind of bounced around. He did some other stuff, but ultimately he had me, and then kind of had to like get a job and get his shit together. But he was always a huge musical influence. When I was growing up, he'd be like playing keyboards, rapping, just making songs up and stuff. So in my mind, I was like, well, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
So I also had a ton of cousins. They put me on the Wu-Tang, and like, so I had a great education before I even started.
Such a mixed flavor.
Yeah. So when I was like junior, senior in high school, I was a huge hip hop head. I was super snobby. I knew better than anybody. Like, oh, you don't even know.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you're listening to the mainstream bullshit.
yeah,
Nelly,
yeah, exactly. Or
whatever
like,
the
and
fuck.
I was, on the underground. It wasn't even that underground. It was like
feel you.
MF Doom, Ghostface. Those were my guys.
Yeah.
But also the Bay Area shit was popping off at that time. So I was hugely influenced by Andre Nickatina and Mac Dre, and of course Short, E40, all those guys. But like, I liked Mac Dre and Andre Nickatina the most because they were like bar, like lyricists, like funny, like hardcore, like. So at this time, you got to understand that Fruity Loops came out, and so you could record at home now, and this is a revolutionary thing. Like, it came out when you were probably like 15, I was 16, and you could record at home using software just on a laptop like that, like no problem. A USB mic from Target, like,
Yeah, right.
let's let it rip.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it was like unheard of before. No one could do that. So that's when I started writing and stuff.
So you were 16.
Yeah, when I started writing. And I would just hide it from everyone. And then when I was like 18, I started showing it to my friends, rapping. Like, I had spent like 2 years like waiting. So I thought I was the shit. And
Did you do that intentionally?
I sucked. I did, because I knew what I was writing was pretty dumb. like I don't
So you
know.
mean the hiding was intentional?
Yeah, like I was like, I want to like get a few
Get-
notebooks under my belt before
Yeah.
I start showing people,
Yeah.
Which I tell people now who start rapping, I'm like, bro, go in your room for 2 years, fill up 3 notebooks
Yeah.
or pages on your phone, whatever you want to do, then come out when you're like really snapping. But anyway.
Did you feel like you were snapping then when you became 18?
Of course, you're a young person. You think you're the
love it.
shit.
I
Yeah,
love it,
like
yeah.
I was like, oh, listen to these bars, guys. But anyway, so I started making some demos and stuff, but nothing crazy. And then I hooked up with my buddy Logan. We started actually making like real demos. He was making beats. I would write the song. And then I got a job selling merch for Andre Nickatina.
Oh no, you didn't. Sick.
Yeah. So I was working at a restaurant as a onion boy, chopping up the onions boy.
Love it.
And I would take out the trash. It was a Top Dog in Oakland.
Oh yeah.
And the owner was a guy by the name of Nick Peace, and he was Andre Nickatina's like producer, road manager at the time.
He was the manager or the owner of Top Dog?
Oh, he owned the Top Dog, but
Yeah,
he was
and
Andre's producer and manager. He produced
That's tight.
a large part of Andre's catalog. And I was a huge fan of Andre. So I would be working at the restaurant, and he would come in and get like order a hot link, and I'm like, oh my God, you're here.
Shit, it's him. Yeah.
So one night they were like, hey, our merch guy quit. Can you come to the show in Santa Cruz and sell the merch? And I'm like, hell yeah.
Say less.
So I'm like working at the show. I'm like selling Andre's t-shirts. I'm like really like working my ass off, like trying to make a good impression. They ended up hiring me like full time. So I was working every weekend, every Andre show I was going. And I'm 19,
yeah.
20. I can't even drink a beer
Yeah.
yet, like legally.
Yeah.
But
But this wasn't like premeditated. It kind of just like
No,
fell
it
in your
just- it
lap.
just
Like
fell
you
in
went
my
to go
lap.
work at Top Dog. This guy was the Andre Nickatina producer.
Yeah. Well, he was my dad's friend, and
Yeah.
I knew that there was a possibility that this could happen,
Sure,
but it
sure,
was a
sure.
total pipe dream.
Right,
Like,
right.
I was just hyped for the fucking $20 an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At
fuck
the
yeah.
at the hot dog
What?
spot.
As a 19-year-old? Like, it was popping, especially back
and
then.
so I worked with John. We eventually got the weekend shift. So I was the manager,
how
and John was the
fun.
register guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So we worked
Oh,
Saturday.
y'all had a blast, bro. I already know.
Saturday, Sunday, every weekend, and then we would go to high school during the day. Anyway, I go to San Jose State, waste a bunch of money.
I did not know you went to San Jose
Yeah,
State.
waste a bunch of money pretending to go to class. I think I went to my PE class, the hoop class, like a handful of times. I got an A- in philosophy, and I was like, I'm good here. So then I started going on these tour dates with Andre like every weekend, and I just got hooked. So I dropped out, and I basically opted to go to rap college instead of actual college. So then
Traveling with Nickatina.
yeah. So then one weekend I was like,
That's tight.
I was so brazen, such a bold little boy. I put the CD in the deck, and I was like,
Wait.
It was instrumentals.
Was this in the car with somebody?
Oh,
Like,
it was with Nick, the tour manager. We were driving to Humboldt to do a show, and I put the CD in.
you were sitting in the front with him.
Yeah.
And you were like,
I put the
you
CD
didn't
of
even say
instrumentals.
nothing.
I didn't
You
say
just put
shit.
it
I
in.
just started rapping.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, and he was
Big
like-
dog, give me some. Okay.
And so he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I was hoping I could open up tonight. Like, I'm such a little kid.
Oh, I love it.
And he was like,
I
well,
love
no,
it.
you can't. But he's like, but that was pretty cool that you did that. And I was like, right on.
No way. I love that.
And so like 3 weeks later, we're going to Fresno. And he's like, hey, I got you 5 minutes tonight on stage. This is going to be my first
Wait.
show.
So how much afterwards, after you kind of did, you tried to show out on the car, you were like, yo,
yeah.
I'm raw. And then how long after that was he
It was
like,
like,
hey,
it was like a month or so.
and he was, and
He
they
kind of, I wore him down. I did it on purpose, over time. We were spending a lot of time together.
He was like, come on, let me get on.
Yeah, I was being pretty like persistent.
Good.
So
So then he gave you this
he
opening
gave me
in
5. He
Fresno.
gives me 5 minutes in
in
Fresno. It's
Fresno.
called the Crest Theater. It's gigantic. It's sold out. They got barricades in front of the stage so that no one can come up to the stage. There's like steel gates. They throw me up there. I'm rapping over like rat-a-tat beats. I don't even have my own beats at the time.
What's a rat-a-tat beat?
Rat-a-tat is a producer team. They made a lot of Kid Cudi shit on Man on the Moon. They did.
cool.
They make sick instrumentals. At the time, they were having like a serious wave. So I just was like, I'm gonna rap over their beats. They're dope as fuck. It was so dumb. So I
Wait,
go
so
up
it
there-
wasn't even your song. They were just
No.
like playing something. They're like, yo, get up there and do your thing.
So I go up there and I just instantly get booed, like instant.
Was it freestyle or was it something
I had a song that I wrote.
Yeah.
But that
You
was
instantly get booed.
booed instantly. And these are like Fresno Latino boos.
Yeah,
like,
there's not, ain't no
they're-
joke.
No,
yeah.
this is hardcore.
Right.
So
You're going to
like,
feel that boo
so
in
I'm
your
like-
soul. Yeah.
And I'm
your
like,
core.
well, I have to make a choice here. I can either get booed off stage or I can fight. And so I was just like,
Is this the thought that crossed your mind?
yeah.
I love
and
that.
I go, Fresno. And they were like, boo. And I was like, fuck all y'all. I said it right into the mic.
I know you got
And
to lower
then-
that one, Mike. Oh my
and then,
god.
and then all I see is like girls hanging over the railing, like. And then this is the worst part. I get off stage and I got to go work the merch booth
No,
for like
I
three
didn't
for like 3
know.
hours.
Yeah, talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
So I go back there and people are walking by just laughing at me, like clowning me.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh,"
And
and I'm like,
yeah, I'm gonna
"Damn."
buy that merch.
So
I'll be back with the money.
Yeah, so that was my first show.
Wow.
And you know what's funny is that my buddy Ricky, you know Ricky Quintana,
Yeah.
he was there, and he has the footage somewhere.
Oh, he
I don't-
has to try to get it
I
to
know.
us, bro.
I told
that
him
would
I
be
was like,
money.
that would be liquid gold.
That
Yeah,
would be money. Yo, we got a short right there. First show.
Yeah.
Gets booed off stage.
yeah. It was rough,
Love
but
it.
I ended up touring with Andre for like 5 years.
Did you then after that did you still continue to open up and have more successful
I was
openers?
opening act, and then what I started doing initially, after they started featuring me a little more, I started handing out CDs for free everywhere we went.
Oh, good for you. Brilliant.
And so now I have like these little like small followings in like Oregon or Washington or Arizona, like these little tiny pockets.
great.
I don't have a ton of fans, but I have these little like, you know, it's like a subculture thing, and like it's just crazy because people hit me up and they're like, "Dude, love this, love this." I'm just like, I have no like. I'm a grown ass man now. Like I make music, it's fun and I love it, but like the fact that there are people listening to it still blows me away.
Yeah. Well, fast forward to your super fan in Oregon.
Oh, the show in
Yeah. So you from getting booed off the stage in Fresno.
Oh, yeah,
To
yeah,
the
yeah.
homie being like, "Yo, come perform at my wedding."
well, I had a homie. Yeah, he had a birthday party in Washington,
Oh, Washington.
and it was like a 3-day outdoor like tent pop up like party at his. He has a big ass compound. It's hella sick. He has a garage, huge lawn, pool. It's in the middle of the goddamn woods. Like you're surrounded by giant trees. It was sick.
That must have been amazing for the music, for the sound. Being
It was
around-
cool. Yeah. I mean, I was on the patio. I did like a couple tests, like where to put the music, but I figured out that the deck was the best spot. And then a couple mushrooms, couple beers later, we're having a blast. And I just remember it just like all blended together, and then I just like looked up and they were like, "It's midnight," and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like,
When did that
I
fucking
was like, "Did I
happen?"
do okay?" And they were like, "Yeah, thank you." I was like,
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, did you ever find out how like he was just following you, or did he ever tell you like the story?
Yeah,
of,
he
like,
was a
how
fan of
discovered
mine. Him and
you?
his wife were fans of mine, and it's funny, man. Like people will DM me, and then I respond, and they're like, "Whoa, I didn't think you." I'm like, I'm not anyone.
it.
Like
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
Of course, I'm gonna respond. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Would you be willing to come out here?" And they did it a year in advance. Like they were like, "Next July, we want you to come to our house." And I was like, "Cool, sounds good." And then like that shit sneaks up on you. Next thing I know, it's like March, and they're like, "We're booking the flights." I'm like, "For what?" And they're like, "For the show." And I was
shit,
like,
yeah.
"Oh yeah." I was like, "Sounds good."
Yeah.
And so
That's
I
kind of
went
how
out
you
there.
when I told you, "Hey, come do this podcast." You're like, "Yeah, sure, sounds good." That was,
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
say pretty much yes to everything.
There you go.
But it was just a trip because they were bugged out that I went there solo.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I
Where's
got
your
on-
team at? Like,
I
where's
got
it-
on the plane. Like, I was just like, got in the. She picked me up from the wife picked me up from the airport. I'm like, "What's up?" She was like, "You're not scared? Like they were gonna murder you in the woods?" And I was like, "Nah." I was like,
Yeah.
"I welcome it." I
Yeah,
was like, "Come
right.
on, let's get it on."
Yeah.
But we had a blast, dude. They were super accommodating. Sick garage, pool table, bar, huge lawn, access to the creek, which I love. I love hiking. So I was like, they were laughing at me because I was like, "Let's go." And I was like going down the hill. They're like, "You don't know where you're going." And I was like, "I don't give a shit. What's the worst that could happen?"
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that was dope. So every once in a while, I get a nice little like reminder that people care about the stuff that I do. But
Yeah.
other than that, I pretty much just like do it for myself.
And then, so now rewinding back to Fresno and you know touring with Nickatina, and you know I think as an artist maybe gaining more confidence and you know kind of
Yeah.
your craft becoming.
It took like a year, and then I started handing out the CDs, and then I would start getting like emails from Bandcamp, like, "Oh, this person bought your album," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay, like cool." And then luckily, Andre hit like a. First of all, much respect to Andre Nickatina. He employed me for like 6, 7 years, and like really showed me a lot about how to tour and like keep things minimalistic, keep all the money to yourself, get a decent hotel room, don't go blowing out hella money on bullshit. Like just show up to the show, do your show, get the fuck out of there. Like he's a utmost professional when it comes to like he basically invented the independent rap game in the Bay Area. Mr. Fab recently went on an interview and talked about it. Like he created this independent circuit, which is through the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, shut up!
All the way to, so you go top of Washington, Oregon, NorCal, you go Central Cal, SoCal, Arizona, New Mexico, and that's basically his circuit. And you just do it every 4 months. Wow. And just bang it out, sold out shows.
What?
He's the one that put Mac Dre onto that touring circuit.
No way.
So he basically created the pipeline of Bay Area music to other states. So Andre's absolute legend.
Wow.
That's my dude. Yeah, I worked for and with him for a long time, and he was nothing but cool to me. So that's my guy. He's always gonna be. And I still, what's crazy is in high school, listen to his music. Obviously, when I was working for him, it kind of changed a little bit because I was listening to his set every day. So I would just be like, okay, I'm over it. But now to this day, like I was moving yesterday with my brother, and I was playing Andre all day. Yeah. I still love that shit. But touring with him was incredible. So many cool stories. So I got to see like probably like 80% of the United States and Canada. Just driving around. It kind of sucked being the merch guy. I'm not gonna lie, cause like you'd be in the van for like 7 hours, and then they drop you off at the show. Everyone else gets to go to the hotel, but you got to go set up the merch booth.
Oh yeah. So you're just like nonstop.
I would
get there.
Yeah, I would
get
skip showers all the time, like be miserable, but it was still hell fun.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is like, I go up there, I do my little 10, 15 minutes, and I come back, and I'm at the merch booth, so people have no choice but to interact with you.
That's tight.
So they're like, hey, good job. They might be lying, but they're still dapping you up.
Right.
I'm still handing
the
the
CDs.
Yeah. It was cool.
But you got onto the subject of Andre Nickatina. You said Andre Nickatina hit, like, and then you're like, shout out to Andre Nickatina.
Oh, I don't know if I was talking about just like influentially.
About how you started like, kind of embedding into your own craft, like becoming
more
confident as an
Well, he
artist,
was, yeah. So I got more confident because I was getting more time on the stage, and I was getting a little more freedom to like play different shit.
Yeah.
And then once I started getting like positive reactions, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna run this. And yeah, I had a good 5-6 year run under his like tutelage, so to speak. And then we had mutual managers at the time. The manager quit. His name's Static John. He's now probably a multi-millionaire. His wife.
He sounds hella familiar.
His wife started a makeup tutorial YouTube, and then that blew up into. Now they own a gigantic clothing business. They're like killing it. They live in LA. So he made the right move at the right time. Shout out John. That was my guy. But they're doing great. But he got out of the music shit because I think he saw this ain't going nowhere. Like managing artists is like probably a hellscape if you ask me. Like unless you're dealing with people who are making millions of dollars, you're not making enough to live as a manager.
Sure.
No. But so then he left to LA, and I was like, well, I'm on my own. So I've been pretty much independently making my own stuff for like 7 years now, 6 or 7 years.
So the next level was the independent game.
I wouldn't say it's the next level as far as like advancement. It was more of just a different version where everything was in-house, and like I didn't have the outright exposure to crowds anymore. I had to go get my own shows, which was the biggest difference. Yeah. Which is why I don't do shows now.
Right.
Yeah, but overall, I've had a super dope like career, whatever you want to call it. Like I still just make music I've always only made music for myself and just hope that everyone else liked it. And I still do that. So when I put shit out, I'm not expecting like this praise or like people to be clapping and shit. Like I don't really care, but when they do, it's nice to hear. So during COVID, I started a juice delivery service, and it was cool because I was getting that little check from the gov, and then I was also getting cash on the side, so I was chilling. But I will say that juice is not a profitable thing.
Did you say it's not?
It's not because the fruit and everything. Like I only use like the best shit. Like there's a way you could cut corners.
Get food stamps or some shit.
Yeah, but like I only use organic. I
Gotcha.
use what I use, and it tends to run up the supply cost a little bit.
Hell yeah.
But
Because you use the organic shit, the good shit.
yeah, and then so like initially people were like, I'm down. Like especially at the time, people were super health conscious and like trying to be good about it. But like
Especially during COVID.
yeah, so I kind of use that to my advantage, and then after a while, you start showing people like, hey, it's gonna be this much, it's gonna be this much, and then they're like, okay, I'm looking at my statement. I spent like $800 with you this month. Like this is not okay. And I totally get it, but it's like, bro, the fruit costs this, my labor costs this. That's
What's
it.
up? Yeah, this is the price that you're getting.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, man.
Dude, it's terrific. It's
yeah,
like
I'm heavy on the
insane,
apples
so
right now.
good.
What's cool about California is that apples are year round, so you can get good stuff every day. Watermelon season is the shit though. Like seeded watermelons, as far as like economically, taste wise, health wise, I've done like 20 days on just watermelon juice.
Oh yeah? What, like a cleansing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's cheap as hell. Like
Yeah.
it's also a good look like on your budget because you're just like, all right, not only am I cleaning my shit out and I'm feeling better, but like I'm spending $9 a day to eat.
Yo, say less. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go on a watermelon
It's
juicing fast.
It's usually about late June, mid June to like early September. You get them because we're in Cali, so
Yeah.
we got it like that.
Yeah.
But that's the move for sure.
You got that on camera, yeah? Talking about his juice company, because that's definitely. I'm so glad that you had brought this juice when you said.
Oh
that you
yeah,
brought-
I just batched some up yesterday. I figured I'd bring some.
What's it called?
What?
Didn't you call it something like?
Oh yeah, fruit fly juicing.
Yeah.
It was me and Will.
That's right.
Yeah. We didn't. I mean, we did our best, but it was like I said, people are like, how much? And you're like, 200. And they're like, fuck. Like
For some juice.
yeah, they're like, I was thinking more like $50.
Yeah, I
And
can
I'm
just go
like,
get some Dole real quick.
Yeah,
and lucky.
and I totally get that, but it's like, bruh, you really, this is hyperbolic. I'm not trying to exaggerate, but what I make, you really can't get anywhere else unless you know someone who makes their own juice,
No,
or
I mean-
you make your own juice.
Terrific.
Yeah. So I was bringing like gigantic 64-ounce glass jars. Like I had one client who was buying like 6 at a time for him and his family.
Damn. Nice.
And he was like pretty well off dude, entrepreneur. But I think he finally wisened up and was like, dude, I'm spending like $400 a week with you. Like this is insane. And I'm like, I get it, dog.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you could pay somebody's rent with how much you're buying my juice for. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like I'm not gonna cut it.
Yeah,
like
good
I
for you.
need it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing about business is like, you can't give everyone a deal. Otherwise you're going to end up losing out,
Yeah.
you know? So, but I'm passionate about it and I'm very open. Like anytime I've had family members reach out to me with like, you know,
Health concerns.
ailments, things
Yeah.
like that. And I'm always like, this is what you got to do. And it's pretty extreme as far as like how the mainstream views health is very different than how I view it. Like, so I got really sick like 5 or 6 years ago. I lost like 80 pounds in like 3 months, like not good. And doctors couldn't figure it out. So I started getting my own independent blood tests and then cross-referencing with things that I was learning. And I figured out that it was my pancreas. The pancreas is right here. My liver, my pancreas, and my gallbladder. There was something going wrong with the connection of them. And I wasn't able to digest fat anymore. So like avocado, things like that. Anytime I would eat something super fatty, it was like in my stool, I could see that it was not being digested. It was just coming out as straight oil. So I was like, okay. Then I started reading books. I read this book called The Detox Miracle Source Book by Dr. Robert Morse. Highly recommend it to anyone who wants to take control of their own health. He just basically breaks down how the body really works, not like how doctors, because doctors treat symptoms, they don't treat causes. So when you figure out how your body actually works and what it needs to actually operate at peak level, then you realize like, oh, okay, this is very treatable. I just got to stop doing this and start doing this, as opposed to like taking these pills or whatever. Like, but I got super into it, and also I was scared for my life, so that tends to provide motivation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did
Whatever it takes.
I did a 30-day grape juice cleanse, and I was only drinking 64 ounces of fresh grape and lemon juice every day. So
That's all.
That's it. So I had one jar at like noon. It was a 32 ounce, pretty big. And then I'll have another jar at like 5 p.m. And I did that
I bet it tastes so good.
so good. And you're like, I don't want to say starving, but you're like dying for electrolytes, whatever. So when it was just like, and I was working a job at the time. I remember I was bartending.
Wow.
And like I loved to drink, but at the time I wasn't drinking because I was just scared. So I'm at the bar, I'm serving cocktails, beers, whatever, and then I'm going the whole day without eating. At the end of the day, I'm just drinking my grape juice, and everyone's like, "This dude's a fucking psychopath." And I'm like, and even like some of my family were like really scared. They thought I had like an eating disorder. They thought it was all mental and shit. But I ended up
That you were doing what you were doing.
yeah. But I ended up curing myself. So then everyone had to eat their words, you know? So I was just like, all right, gotcha. But like, so I had a whole like health journey, whatever the fuck you want to call
Revelation
it. Like,
journey.
yeah, it just totally changed the way I operate. You know what I mean? Like I eat like 50% raw only. I'll do like juice until like noon or 2 p.m. I'll have like one cooked meal a day and then go from there. But I lean on the juice really heavy. I still enjoy coffee. I'm in the process of just removing alcohol altogether, but that's gonna be a process. But I do know though I'm gonna have to like eliminate it forever if I'm gonna, get to the next level in my life. Because I did dry January and I got more shit done in a month than I had in the past year.
Isn't it incredible the power of putting down the bottle just
for sure. And I recognize that. And my like I said, my plan is to phase it out. I'm in that process, but I love beer, man.
It's
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I totally hear you.
Yeah. I also work at a brewery.
Yeah.
So that month of like working and not drinking the free beer that was being offered to me almost every hour on the hour was incredibly difficult. But I did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I've done it before. I've had great runs with sobriety. I've gone to just weed and mushrooms. That seems to be kind of where I have the most success because I still have an outlet, still have a creative stimulant in my mind with the shrooms. And I can still like make music and feel like creative. But I've also recently I made a couple songs with my brother, like stone sober, which I thought previously was not possible. But they came out fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So now that I know I can do that,
Yeah.
It helps with the mental, like, I guess, motivation for sure.
What did the doctors say when you came back and you were like,
Oh, they were utterly clueless.
yeah.
Like, I remember being in the office, and so your pancreas is pretty important for your body. That's why when you get pancreatic cancer, people die so quickly, because it's probably one of the most, if not outside of your heart, the most important organ to your body, because it creates digestive enzymes. So like, let's say you put a spoon of food in your mouth, right? And you chew it. Everybody out there, chew your food. The more you chew your food, the better you'll digest it. But basically what's happening is your saliva is basically your body's natural synthetic ability to understand what it is that's in your mouth. So when you're producing saliva, it's not because you're hungry, it's because your body's going like, tell me what's in here.
Yeah.
So then it sends the message to your pancreas, and your pancreas goes, okay, you're eating rice, chicken, and avocado. So we're going to need a little protease, which is the enzyme you need to digest protein. We're going to need a little lipase, which is the enzyme you need to digest fat. And we're going to need just some general like bile, which comes from your gallbladder, which helps just digest everything in general. What I did was I was partying so hard and eating so shittily that I inflamed my pancreas to the point where it could no longer operate, so that I
It was
was
not
eating and I was not digesting my food correctly.
Because it wasn't producing
these enzymes, particularly lipase, the one that digests fat. So I started digging around. I started getting independent blood work at companies that were not my doctor. And I figured out that I was not producing lipase anymore.
And they
Zero.
told you that by running these blood tests?
Yes,
Yeah.
but not my doctors. I figured it
Right,
out
the
through
independent
blood work.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy, by the way.
100% that they couldn't do it. But this is, and then you start getting paranoid, and I'm like, they don't want me to get better. They want me to like be here
Yeah.
for the next year, doing
Yeah.
tests, doing
taking
surgeries,
pills, coming
whatever.
back,
yeah,
getting
yeah.
checkups.
So once I figured that out, I was like, I'm never coming back here. So did the juice stuff, fixed everything. There was, dude, when I did that 30-day grape juice, there was shit coming out of me that was unrecognizable. Like, I remember there was like it's called biofilm, and it looks like plastic, and it was coming out of me.
What
like,
the fuck, dude? I might need to.
I passed parasites. Like,
I need that.
I mean, I tell people all the time, like, if there's nothing going crazy wrong with you, you're fine. But one day there might be a time, and then that's when you really, because I always use the analogy of like, okay, how far have you been walking in this direction, right? Like towards unhealthy habits. And they're like 10 years. And I'm like, okay, well then you need to walk this way for at least 10 years. Like people are like, oh, I need a 3-day juice cleanse. And I'm like, that shit ain't gonna do nothing. Like, you've been doing this for decades. You need to start walking back in this direction for that amount of time. And then we might see some progress. There's no cleanse in the world that's gonna fix everything in your body in 3 days. It's just not gonna happen. Plus, most people do the cleanse and then they go right back, and probably even harder
because they're like, oh, I'm good.
It's funny, like I've lived kind of like a double life where like my whole like music persona is like this party guy who just rages, and then on the other side I'm also like hyper conscious of my health. So I kind of am an extremist in that way, where it's like when I'm drinking, I'm fucking drinking, and then when I'm not, I'm going hard on the raw health like path. So that's kind of how I maintain shit. Luckily I haven't had another scare again or anything like that, but I got down to 160. I'm 6'3". I was like skin and bones, and like my mom couldn't look at me. She was like crying.
She was worried about you.
It was rough. And then it took me a long time, but I started putting weight back on. I started digesting right.
What's your healthy weight?
And then I was just like, fuck all y'all, I did this by myself. Everybody could eat a dick. Like, I figured it out.
Yeah.
My health right now, I'm at 205, which is
nice. Damn, 160.
I'd like to
I can't even imagine you at 160.
I know. No, it was a trip, bro. My cheekbones were popping out. There's some pictures that are pretty alarming.
Can we
My
see?
ass was like
how did your
like
jeans stay
zero.
up? Right, yeah.
That was what was so alarming, because I would get out the shower and I'm like, damn, I was already like assless as it was. Now I'm like nothing. Like, But what was cool is that I like to walk a lot. I do a lot of hiking and hitting hills and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I got healthy again, I started eating right. And then now I got a little white boy bubble. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't.
There you go.
It ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
My jeans move when I walk.
Well, I'm glad you said that. That totally transitions me into the subject that I wanted to get on. It's like the fact that like when you fucking party, you party hard. You know what I'm saying? But then you also have this not on the couch. Come on.
Hi, Rosie.
Okay.
Get down, girl.
Yeah, thank you. Rascal. But yeah, so like when you party hard. But then you also have this other side to you that's like super conscious, aware of like your health habits. And I was telling Mike, I was like, dude, like one of the things that I really like about Ivan is that he, like, I feel like you are like a MF Doom slash Mac Dre sort of artist.
I'll
like,
take that all day.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know if it's true, but I'll put it in stone right now. No, yeah. Doom was the first guy where I was like, okay, like I want to rap. Him. There's also Del, the funky Homo sapien, who is also from the Bay.
I like
He
Del.
actually lives in El Cerrito. I see him all the time on a
No way.
skateboard, and I'm always just like, I want to hang out with you.
Do you ever say hi?
I've seen him once in public, and I was like, "What's up, Del?" And he was hella cool. He dapped
Yeah.
me up, and then I was just like, "This isn't enough. Like, I would need a conversation." But it just wasn't like it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah. Didn't flow like that.
And also, he's not like, he doesn't have this air about him where it's like he's inaccessible. He's hella cool. Like, he also doesn't see himself as this, like, he knows how dope he is, and he knows
Like
that
reigning
he's a
supreme over
legendary
everybody.
MC, but he does not care. Like, he's just like, it's all good. But yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I love hip hop. I respect it. That's why I started rapping. But I also have outside influences like David Bowie and like bands like T-Rex or like
Yeah.
glam rock singers
Right.
or like just I like all music and I'm influenced by all of it. I just want to make shit that's different and that I like and that seems like it hasn't been made before. That's my ultimate goal. Like when people are like, "Oh yeah, your music's different," even though to them or to me it can seem like a little disrespectful because the way they're saying it is like I don't understand it. But I actually take that as a huge compliment because if it's easily palatable and easy to process, I don't like that. You know, I want something that's like, okay, I like this part of it, but this part kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm like, cool, because that means I'm like shaking shit up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just like writing, man. I like writing funny shit. I like writing clever shit, or what's clever to me. If you listen to a lot of my albums, there's like songs that sound totally different that sound like they should not be on the same album, but I put them on there anyways because I'm trying to like fuck people's heads up. But as of late, rapping's fun. I have an album with my brother right now. Shout out Moy Chingon. We've made 3 albums. They're called Mummy and the Boy, Volume 1,
Oh,
1, 2,
shit,
Volume
I love
3.
that. Yeah.
They're fire.
Tell me you're gonna have like on the cover like mummy-esque sort of something.
No.
You wrapped up in a mummy.
No, that would be
mummy
funny,
wrap
though.
would be clean.
Yeah. So Mummy and the Boy, Volume 1 through 3, those are classic. The third one is like we both decided we can't top it. So our next project that we have done now, we're gonna change the title to like a different series. But I still enjoy rapping. It's just that as MUMBLS, I like to sing more now. I like to come
Really?
up with more melodies and like
Okay.
I'm trying to make more like instrumentally more electronic, different shit.
You think we'll hear Spanish singing? Because I know you like to sprinkle some Spanish in your lyrics, which
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
always thought was sick.
My Spanish is horrible, but it's serviceable in the sense that like I can get away with saying a couple words,
Yeah.
or like
Oh, he doesn't have an accent.
I
American accent.
have an accent, so people are like, oh, he's fluent, and then they actually talk to me and they're like, oh no, he's not.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like when you
Yeah.
hear it on the track, you're like, oh
you're
shit,
like, oh,
he's
okay,
clean.
this
yeah.
guy, yeah. I mean, I can get by. Like, I have a second job right now as like a server, and the cooks are hella cool, so we speak Spanish. But every once in a while, they'll say something to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, got it
For sure.
I didn't understand a word they fucking
Yeah.
say, but it's really the speed of it, you know, like, and the slang. There's slang from everywhere coming around.
For
like,
sure. It's hard.
Peruvian slang, Mexican slang,
Puerto Rican,
Salvadorian
Dominican,
slang,
yeah.
totally different. But I try to use it just because, like, I do identify as, you know, Mexican American, whatever you want to call it. All of my family is Mexicano. They're all from Richmond. Like, my dad has no family. That's my white side. I'm not close with them. I'm close with my Mexican side. So
Yeah.
that's what I identify with. So every once in a while, I'll throw some little Spanish shit in there. But I have an uncle, he lives in TJ, and shout out Theo Mondo. I'll call him sometimes, and I'm like, I'm about to write this lyric. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And he's like, sometimes he'll be like, not really. And I'm like, all right, right on. Or sometimes he'll be like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But so I have like consultants and shit. Or I'll like, because if you go on Google and you type in Google Translate, that's not
Not
real.
at all. Yeah. No, you might get something completely
Oh,
funky.
no. Yeah. I've used it for my other job where I've had to send emails out to Spanish speaking families. And one time this mom came up to me, she's like, I don't know what you're using for this, but like this does not make any, like, I know you typed in what you wrote in English, but she was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. So, yeah.
My mom used to say that back in high school. She'd be like, don't just use Google Translate because you're not going to get the proper translation.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, I get frustrated. I have family in Mexico. There was just a big ass wedding in Ensenada. One of my uncles owns a farm out there and he's got some paper and they had a big ass wedding and I heard it was going to be like the party of the century and I wanted to go, but I couldn't, I had to work. But the last time I went to a party out there, I got so frustrated because with English, I'm a schmoozer. You know, I can talk to anybody. I can relate to anybody. I can be funny. I can do all this.
Right. The struggle.
But then with Spanish, it's like, I want to be this charismatic guy, but I ain't got it like that.
That's funny, bro. I've experienced that too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So like, I'll be talking to people and they're just like talking to me and I want so badly to be able to like make jokes, like pop shit, like have fun.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the vocabulary or the tools. So like, my shit is very bare bones. And then I get insecure because I'm like, God, I probably look like a fucking idiot. And then they don't give a shit. They just enjoy that you're trying.
Yeah, right.
You know, they're all cool as fuck. But in my mind, I'm like, God, I'm so funny when I can speak English. Like, and it's like, with Spanish, I ain't got shit. Yeah, it's frustrating for sure.
That's hella funny. I went to on a camping trip with Will's family, who's Nicaraguense.
Yeah.
And we were all sitting there by the camping ground, and Will's grandma was sitting at the table, at the picnic table, and my stepdad, Chad, was.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And
you ain't got to say that.
he was looking. There was a bug on the tree, and he's like, ah, su que bichazo. Like in bicho in Spanish, Peruvian Spanish is like bug. It's an insect. He's like, that's a big ass bug.
Yeah.
And but in Nicaraguense, bicho is pussy. So Will's grandma was there, and he was like, "Qué bichazo!" And Will's grandma was like, "Qué lisura! ¿Qué le pasa a este gringo?"
Yeah.
Like he was like, "What?" She
This
was
was
like,
a
"What
dirty
the fuck?" He was
motherfucker.
like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my god! He
See?
said, big
And
ass
it's like-
pussy. What on the tree?
And that's like, his intentions were pure.
Yeah.
But
Right.
to her, it's like, this guy is a scumbag. He's
sicko.
talking about pussies on the tree. But that's how it goes,
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, I don't know. It's just tricky, man.
col-
Dialects,
The colloquialisms.
colloquialisms. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And that's like all languages. Like, even like there's Bay Area parts where the slang is different. Where it's like, I remember.
Oh no way!
I don't know if you
Like
remember,
what?
but in high school, like calling people blood was hella normal.
It was totally normal. It was like saying,
was like my favorite
what's
thing.
Up, bro?
I'm like,
Yeah,
"What's
I
up,
used to
blood?"
love it. It was my shit. Yeah, I used to do it all the time.
What's up, blood? And then
what's up, blood?
you go to LA and they're like,
Blood? You said-
pardon me?
What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's all over the world, but it's really just like, you never know until you cross that line and people have to correct you and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think we'll see it? Mums singing Spanish? I heard it's easier to sing Spanish.
I think if it's written out for you,
Sure.
you know, or
Yeah.
you write it out,
I think
and
that'd
you
be
can
clean.
just
I
do
think we wanna
it. I
see
mean,
it,
if you think
bro.
about like Selena, like they say
She
her
barely
Spanish
spoke-
wasn't
that's
great,
what
but
I-
her song
right.
sounded amazing.
Right,
Or like
right.
even like I don't know if you heard the Linda Ronstadt album. She was a famous singer. I think she was like a country singer or something like that. But she was half Mexican, and she did this like super classic. I don't know if it's ranchero or like what type of music it is, but it's considered one of the greatest Spanish-speaking albums of all time.
way.
And she wasn't even like a
Word?
Spanish speaker.
Oh, I love that.
My mom loves that album. Everyone does. It's
What's it
called
called?
Linda Ronstadt. I forget what the album's called. I don't even know. Like I can't
Yeah.
even front like I'm on it like that. But I know people. It's like lauded as this wonderful album, and it was her only Spanish-speaking album that I know of.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time.
And
My
you-
thing is like I don't want to say some shit that doesn't make no sense. Record it, put it out,
Yeah.
and then now it's out there, and I
Right.
can't take it back.
No, for
Like,
sure. I'm
it's
glad
very-
that you referenced, you know what I'm saying, you talked to Theo back
yeah,
in-
yeah,
back in-
yeah. And like, so like, this is a perfect example. This is a good story. On my second album, it's called the Albatross LP.
Is that one of the first ones, would you say?
It's the second
The
one.
second one. What was the first
And,
one?
It's called The Lost Weekend.
Okay.
And there was 4 albums that I made CDs of that I distributed like all over the place. So people have them like all over. Like every once in a while, someone will be like, "I have this original CD," and I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like,
I have
that's
one of
hell old.
Nims. Remember Nims?
Yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah.
one of his originals,
Yeah.
and I've kept it for the
Well,
longest
even the
time.
fact that you still have a CD now is
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah,
but
it's a
like
big deal, for
people
sure.
still, they're like, "Yo, check this out!" Like, Lily's dad, before he passed, R.I.P. Papa Rick. I was going through his CD cases, bro. He had every single one of my CDs, perfect condition in his CD case, and I'm like,
I
"This is
love
my
that.
dog."
That's
yeah.
hella cool.
But oh, so the Albatross, I have a song on there called El Güero Culero, and
That makes sense to me as of right now.
okay, but
Yeah.
to some people,
Yeah. Oh, no way.
to some people, culero means asshole.
Yeah. But
To some people,
versus like
to some people, it
booty
means
chaser.
someone who takes asshole.
Right.
So, so
Yeah.
I named the song this, and like some people would be like, "I love that song," and then some people would be like, "Yo, what the fuck you getting at with that song, dude?" And I'm like, so I was kind of like, and I had already put it out.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, at this point, it's
Yeah.
got to be like 12, 14 years old or
Yeah,
something like that. But like, when I found out, because some guy was like, "Hey, in my dialect, that means something hella different," and I was like, "Oh," and I can't take it back. It's literally on a CD that's been distributed. It's on YouTube. Like,
Oh my
it's-
God, that's so funny.
So it's tricky, man. Like, you never know. I was trying to say that I'm an asshole.
Oh, is that what you were trying to say? Okay,
and then
not like,
what-
hey, I'm
and then
chasing
one
ass.
One of my tias was like, "Oh, you're into dudes?" And I was like, "No."
Oh, see,
I was like, "No."
see, and then my translation of it was you just are a player and like, you know, Casanova, you just go out and get it. It wasn't
No,
like,
she
oh
was-
shit,
she
you
was
like
saying,
man buns.
This is some gay shit.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, hey, nothing wrong with that, but not me.
That's too funny,
Yeah.
bro. Well, shit, maybe you hit a wider audience, right?
Yeah, that shit's funny, man. Because when I first started performing, I would purposefully go up there and be very like androgynous and like David Bowie, like feminine style.
You would?
I would.
Wait, like intentionally?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted to stand out, and I'm a huge David Bowie fan.
Yeah.
And
So like you weren't out there doing like the hyper masculine, yo.
No, like I was like purposefully, especially because I was in front of Andre Nickatina crowds, and they're all like, it's pretty much all white dudes. Maybe some of them have their girlfriends, but it's like white dudes. So I would be up there, and I thought it was funny to kind of mess with them and do like a song where they're like, yeah, and then the next song I'd be like singing, kind of crooning, like prancing around, and they'd be like, yo, hold on a second. And so
No way.
I like that.
You did it out of fun, like just to fuck around. Yeah.
And then one time we were in Canada, in Toronto, and this girl was like obviously French Canadian. She had this French accent, and she was like, I really like your style. You're so good on the stage. You're like a gay Christian Slater. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, maybe I need to tone this down a little bit so we're not sending out the wrong message here. But
Yeah.
I still to this day love acts who are like androgynous. I mean, like Prince was the GOAT. Like Prince got more pussy than anybody.
Right.
But in your mind, you're like, is this dude?
Yeah. Right.
But he was perfect at straddling the line, you know, like where he was still
that's
attractive.
that's a form of seduction.
For sure, he's super attractive to females, but like dudes are like, and he's not this macho guy,
Right.
which is what most men think that you need to be to
Yeah.
attract a woman, but it's not the case. But anyway, I had a lot of incidences like that where I was just like, okay, maybe I need to dial the shit back a little bit. I used to go up there with like costume jewelry on, like crazy rings and shit.
Yeah.
Like I was experimenting. I was just trying to make like
that's
throw
part of the
shit, make it
process, right?
stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you feel like you have now, like who you are as an artist, or do you still feel like it's evolving?
No, yeah, I think as a writer and as a recording artist, I'm the best I've ever been. I definitely listen back to some stuff and wish I could take it back. Just like some of the hypersexuality of it all. Like, I'm like, oh, this is so cringy. Like, how many times are you going to reference jizz in a song? Like, I think you get like one.
Yeah.
But I was taking liberties, you know? So like, even to this day with my brother, he'll write some stuff and I'm like, take out 2 of the dick references, 1 of the jizz references, and then rewrite, you know? Because it's like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of tired.
Absolutely.
Like, being dirty is cool. I think, you know, what's crazy is like people be like I'll listen to like Bad Bunny with someone. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just in the car, like along for the ride. And they're like, do you know what he's saying? And I'm like, no. And they're like, it's some of the dirtiest shit you can imagine.
No,
and
it's
I'm
pretty.
like,
Yeah, I was listening to one of his songs today. He was like,
Yeah.
"Me encanta su chinga," and I was like, "Is that pussy? Like, you just love her pussy?" And it's just.
But it's because of the way he's saying it, it sounds way less like, I guess, like dirty than it is. I don't know. It's fascinating. But one thing I try to tell people is like, don't lean on either profanity or like sexuality as a crutch. Like, try to have something to say, which I wish someone would have told me back in the day. Because I was just like, God, how many euphemisms for coming on a girl's face can I come up with? Like, like,
You're like, I got a long list.
yeah, I'm
bro.
like, God, I got like 10. Let's just get them off on the same song. But now I listen to some of those old songs and I'm like, oh God, I wish this didn't exist. Not that I'm embarrassed of it. It's just like, I was clearly so much younger and like a little more bold. And now I'm like,
Yikes.
yeah, clutching my pearls.
What's it like having a brother in the rap game, in the music game, being that big bro?
It's cool. It's a little different. We're 13 years apart and we weren't really close for most of his life because I was a young man trying to have the most fun possible, and having a little brother was kind of a hindrance to that, like kind of in the way.
Yeah.
But once he got to like 13, 14, we got really close. And he started expressing interest in making music. He started making beats, and I was like a total bully. Like, I was just like, you suck. I'd be like I told you earlier, like, fill up a couple notebooks and then come talk to me. Like, cause he wanted his first song to come out. And I'm like, no.
Is this from your mom's side or your dad's side?
We have the same mom. We have different dads.
Okay.
My dad's a big ass white dude.
Yeah.
Shout out Big Ive. My dad's 6'6", 300
Jesus
pounds.
Christ.
He's gigantic.
Wow.
Moy's dad is 5'4", and like, I don't know, he's kind of built like a linebacker. He's pretty heavy
5'4"
too.
boy,
But yeah,
let's
he's
go.
stout. Yeah. He's stout.
Yeah.
So
Good guy.
our dads are very different,
Yeah.
but our mom is very like present in both of our personalities. But
Is Moy's dad also Mexican?
he's Salvi.
Okay, so Moy's Salvadorian and Mexican.
Yeah. And not to put too much on Front Street, but like once Moy's dad and my mom separated, Moy's dad kind of just left the picture. So I picked up a lot of the slack as far as like
Father figure.
brother figure. So
Male
I've
proper
always
male
had to
influence.
give him a lot of like tough, direct, instructional love. Like, don't do this. That's dumb. Like, to this day, we just moved in together. We just got a crib.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going great, but there's some stuff I realized like, oh, fuck, like, no one ever told you this. Like, so now this is the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, he started making beats. His initial raps were horrid, and I could not stomach them. But I coached him up, and then every once in a while, I would write a couple bars for him and be like, okay, bounce off this. Like, and now he's a fucking beat wizard. He's a great audio engineer. He records a lot of my stuff. We have 4 projects together. His raps have improved like tremendously.
He started when he was about 13, 14, 15?
Yeah.
And
We have a song, if you look up on YouTube, it's me, MUMBLS, and Moy Chingon, which is his rap name. And the song's called Windows Open. And it's the first verse I ever put out of his that he recorded. We shot the video hella DIY on my little like lo-fi camera. And it's just hella funny because his rap is horrible, but he's so proud of it. You could tell like in the footage, like he's like, He's like having a blast.
Hell yeah.
And I'll never forget that it was the first time I ever put out something that we made together. And I think he took that as like, okay, now I'm on. Like, I got the green light, which is true. Because now to this day, I'm like, we still have some differences where he'll make a beat and I'm like, he's like, I love this. I'm like, mid. But the key is you have to be honest because you can't collaborate.
No.
I'm not going to rap on something I'm not 100% in on,
Yeah.
you know, and I would expect the same treatment from other people. Like if I'm like, how's my verse? Oh, I don't want them to yes man me and be like, it's fucking so good when it's not. But it's fun, man. He also provides like that youthful, excited energy that I've kind of lost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
35. I'm a
that.
scorned old man now.
Sure,
I've been
sure.
rapping for 15 years. I'm like, fuck everyone. But he has that energy where it's like, come on, we can still do this. And I'm like, you might be right, little man.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And he's willing to like YouTube things, figure things out. Whereas I'm just like, all I do is write, record. I like making beats, but I don't like mixing. And I don't know if you know what that means, but it's like essentially taking every instrument and making sure that they're right where they need to be as far as volume, frequency, EQing. I don't have patience for that shit. I take 2 caps of mushrooms, I drink 2 beers, and I make like 6 beats.
Yeah.
And then I wake up in the morning and I listen to them and I'm like, okay, 3 of these are fire,
Nice.
3 of them suck.
Yeah.
And then they sit on my desktop. I put them in, I still use iTunes. I'm an old man. But like, I just hoard them. Like I have like 500 beats that I've made that.
You name them all, like to help you.
I name them, I used to name them funny names. And then I changed it to the season and the year. So I have like most recently, I have winter 24, 25, and I have like 30 beats under that category. And they're all just named that. But
What made you change from funny to?
because the funny names stopped, I couldn't remember what they sounded like, and also I couldn't remember how old they were, or like, I think organization becomes very important when you're like dealing with a lot of files, hard drives. You have to start naming things appropriately instead of trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And because it burns you. Like I've lost really good beats and really good songs that I had where I couldn't remember the name of the file with the vocals in it. So like I've sat there, I use Logic Pro. I've sat there for hours looking for a beat with vocals on it, named something that I can't remember. So once it burns you a couple times, you learn to like, all right, now I got to be on my shit,
Right.
like, organized. But it took me a long time. Yeah. One time me and Moy took acid. It was his first time taking acid. And we stayed up all night till like 7 in the morning making beats. And we woke up and there was like 40 beats on my desktop, all named like hilarious, ridiculous, like acid brain shit.
Yeah.
And now I don't think we used any of them because the names were so ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were all hella short and
Yeah.
like the beats were crazy, but it was a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Would you ever like pick those like short ones up and maybe say, you know, hear it out and be like, oh fuck, we could stretch this out? Is it
It
ever an
depends.
idea?
Like if it has enough depth to the beat, like if there's enough instruments where you could freak it out and like make it a whole beat, cool. If it's super simple, then you probably want to keep it short so it's not too repetitive.
Yeah.
But I've been toying with an idea of like doing like 10 or 12 minute long songs and then pushing them all together as one file, like as a YouTube file. I kind of do this on my YouTube. I make these series called Demo God, where I take songs that I made, they're done, but they're not good enough to be on an album, in my opinion. So I smash them all together and I kind of make a mixtape of sorts. I'll throw like a soundbite from a movie or something
tight.
and just like, because my
That's
YouTube
hella
followers
cool.
like that shit.
That's
And
tight.
plus, what's good for your watch time, because you have a 12-minute file instead of a 1-minute file. So what they'll do is they'll watch it for 12 minutes, they'll finish the mixtape, and then you have 12 minutes instead of like 1 minute of watch time. So it depends on how you feel about long form content. Like I think the sweet spot is like between like 15, 20 minutes. Unless you're a fucking like huge podcast, you know, then you can run forever and everyone finishes it. But yeah, YouTube's tricky. That's the only thing I care about. Fuck streaming. I like my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like that's where I really get the actual, to me, like the real numbers of what kind of traction I'm getting.
So there's Demo God. What else you got on your YouTube?
Oh man, I've been putting out a lot of music videos for all my recent songs. YouTube channel's Guzzle Gods, if you want to check it out. I got all kinds of stuff on there. I try to put something every week or 2 weeks. But yeah, just staying busy, making shit.
What's your favorite on your YouTube channel on Guzzle Gods? Like one thing that you're like, yo, check this shit out for real.
Most recently, I have this song called No Palito, and it's like a pop punk song, and I filmed everything myself. I'm in the video. I recorded the song over a beat by this dude from, he's from Hollister. His name's I Smoke Madonna. He's a cool dude. He sent me like, this kid's cool as fuck. He sent me like a pack of like 80 beats.
Damn.
Like in Dropbox.
Nice.
And just out of nowhere, I don't even know this guy.
Yeah.
And then
he just he messaged you or sent you an email?
yeah, he hit me up. I think he's met my brother like once or twice, but he hit me up and was like, here's all these beats. And I was like, fuck, I don't even know where to start. But I found he made this like guitar based, like it sounds like a indie rock song. And I was like, this is tight.
Yeah.
And so I like wrote in, I didn't even write it. I was driving to Hollister to visit my brother, wrote the song in my head, got there, recorded it. And I kind of take like this pop punk inflection on my voice. And then the next day, shot the video myself in my mom's backyard, put it on. And I was like hella hyped on it. Yeah. And it sounds like something totally different from what I would normally do. But that's probably my favorite thing on there. It's called No Palito.
No Palito.
It's about being a little cactus, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Very cool.
Yeah, man.
One of my favorite songs was, I gotta tell you, because I'm super geeked about this. This is literally probably like the song that I have been playing on repeat ever since I heard it. Smash TV.
Oh, yeah. I love that song. Very difficult to perform live.
Why is that?
It's just hella like bar heavy.
It's bar heavy. That's why I think that's why I really like it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of breathing breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredibly difficult to record, but that guy who made the beat, his name is Jeffro. I don't know if he's still making beats. I haven't heard from him.
That sounds like a super familiar name.
He made a lot of Jacka's stuff.
Okay.
But he was a cool dude. I'll go to his little studio. He had a room. So Jacka and the Mob Figures had a studio in Hayward, close to Andre's. And I would go, and he would play me beats, and I would just pick them. I think at the time, pretty good prices. And he would do a wholesale deal if you bought like 4 or 5. And that was one of the first ones where I was like, yeah, I need this one. And then to this day, I have like some of my cousins, like they worship me just for that song alone.
Dude, this is my shit. I'll bump this shit in the morning and drink my coffee, and I'm like, these seats are reserved for kings, gods, and legends. Yeah. Let's go.
No, there's some good bars in there for sure. And so, funny enough, that show I did in Washington, that was on the list because I let them. I was like, well, if you're gonna fly me out and pay me to do a show like at your house, like send me what songs you want me to perform. And they put that on there. I was like, fuck.
Was it fun to perform though?
It was fun, but dude, like the whole time, like if you look at my face, I'm like dying to try to remember every word. Like it's because I don't want to fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's like part of the professionalism. You shouldn't. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I'm gonna say this right now. Uh-huh. Anybody who's performing over backing tracks or can't remember their lyrics, get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah.
Like I know that's an old school mentality, but like there's a lot of people that get away with that shit now, where like they'll just play a version of the song with the lyrics on it. They'll go on stage and just like lip sync.
Oh,
or like
yeah.
Just kind of strut around and like people in the crowd accept it, which I don't understand. So they're getting away with it, but like.
Because you could just go at home and play that shit at home.
Yeah, but like you should be rocking to the instrumental, period.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a fuck. Unless that's why you got a hype man. If you need someone to do backup vocals, bring a fucking another guy. Like, but like you should not
to help you out, right?
Yeah,
you should piggyback off of.
You cannot perform with backing tracks on your. It's such a big faux pas. But unfortunately, this is where we are now. Yeah. Like people are doing things differently. But with that one, incredibly difficult to perform. You got to really because breath control is.
I bet.
It's
right.
It's an art unto itself. Like knowing when to really go. And then go, but with that one, there's no fucking room. Yeah. So I'm like,
it's bar after bar after bar.
Yeah,
after
so
bar.
I miss words all the time when I do it, but it is when you nail it, it's fun.
Yeah,
I think I did pretty good. I don't know.
You're familiar with it last? You're familiar with Lil Wayne's mixtapes, and it's like
bat,
like that's the vibe I get.
Yeah,
from that. Like,
and what's crazy is like he was doing that all off the top. Like not off the top, like of course
Not
I think
writing
he formulated them
Yeah.
in his head, but it was not written ever, which is so impressive. It's funny, you and Will were like the Lil Wayne guys
That's
when
my
we were in high school.
dog,
Yeah.
bro.
Because I remember I wasn't really up on it, and then Carter 2 came out, and that was when I started paying like real attention.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew Lil Wayne because I knew him as a hot boy,
Right.
but like then it was like he went supernova,
Yeah.
and I would consider him like top 5 all time, no problem.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And still to this day, like he did a song with 2 Chainz. I think it came out like a year ago or something, but like his verse on it was so crazy, and I was like, damn, he's still fucking operating at peak level.
It's crazy.
Even though he's kind of taken a back seat to like the public eye or whatever,
Yeah.
but Wayne is crazy. And so swaggy, so clever, effortless. Yeah, Wayne's amazing. Come
Yeah.
on, everyone knows that.
Yeah. Dedication 1, 2, 3, up to 6.
Well, and that's
the
what's crazy
Drought
about that
series.
era is like the mixtape shit was just wild because you could go to like
LimeWire.
Piff or
LimeWire,
LimeWire.
remember?
You could just
Yeah.
you click this link and all of a sudden you got a zip file with all these fucking songs and they're yours.
Right.
Like they're on your computer. You own them. You however you're gonna put them onto your fucking MP3 player, your iPhone, or whatever the fuck. That I would say the advent of music being downloadable was a huge reason why I learned so much about music because it went from like having to go buy CDs to now I have access to whatever I want. And dude, I don't know do you know torrents? Like you could download albums. Dude, I have hard drives at home.
Yeah.
Terabytes
Yeah.
full of music, mixtapes, things that I downloaded from like a 10-year space. You can't do that shit now. I guess if you get like Express VPN or whatever, like, but it was the Wild West.
Yeah, it
dude.
really was. Pirates, movies included,
Anything.
videos, porn.
LimeWire was troublesome. It was like 9 out of 10 times it was a virus. But if the title track looked new and
Computers are
unique,
getting fucked up
you're
left
like,
and right.
I never heard of this Mac Dre song. I'm gonna download
Yes,
it. Fuck the
yes.
PC be
and
damned.
you felt like the shit because you put it on your MySpace and you'd be like, oh, I haven't heard this.
Yep. Yeah, that era was
Beautiful.
wild. It was cool because it made you want to explore. Now I don't really have that feeling so much
Right.
because streaming is like now Spotify's like this is what you should listen to, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
fuck you. Like, tell me, I'll find it for myself. Like to this day, even when people were like, you heard this album, and I'm like, well, I'm definitely not now because you just told me to listen to it. Like, I'm like, I'm bad.
I've always been like that.
I'm bad with suggestions,
But I love it.
But every once in a while, I'll take.
You'd rather
one
just
up,
find
but-
it yourself? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but it's just me being a prick.
Sure.
But like, even when someone's like, you should watch this movie, and I'm like, okay, is it good? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, cool, good for you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I enjoy great movies, but I'm just like, well, you already saw it. Well, you beat me to it. Fuck you. Like, I'm trying to be the one that's like putting you on game.
But that shit, that's right.
It's human
right,
nature.
Right. But I think that's made you like the artist that you are, and like you know what I'm saying, like the person that you are. Like you've always wanted to maybe you know what I'm saying, like
I just like finding shit that is obscure
Yeah.
and then like showing other people and then getting that validation that my tastes are cool.
I love it.
For whatever reason, it doesn't work in the
Opposite direction.
I take recs from very few people. Like
Oh, you know,
my
I gotta
dad,
ask you, yeah,
like
who?
a couple people. My dad, I have some close friends who I'll listen to. Even my brother, because he's younger, so he has his ear to the
Sick.
to the street, so to
Sure.
speak. So he's on to like the newer shit. Like he'll send me some shit, and I'm like, this is fire.
What's some new shit that kind of like put an exclamation mark over your head?
There's this rapper from Oakland. This shit went viral already, but his
Simba?
name's El Cousteau, and he has a song with Earl.
Earl Sweatshirt?
Yeah,
Oh, I love
and
Earl
it's
Sweatshirt.
called, I forget what it's called, but the beat is crazy. And Earl, I mean, they both have amazing verses on it, but it's one of the first songs in a long time that I will put on repeat and just listen to over and over again because it knocks. They're saying some slick shit, but
Yeah.
it's also very hip hop. Like their bars are like smart.
Yep.
So it's like, it's kind of the best of everything.
Oh.
Like it's not, the bass is knocking.
Yeah.
They're saying some slick player shit, but it's also like very, very thought provoking.
Smash TV
That too.
for me. That's
Yeah,
like
thanks,
exactly.
man. Yeah, that album, It's called Look at All the Colors. That was like, I was hyped. What's funny is I'm going to the top, baby.
But that's the mindset you gotta have, right? Damn near.
You kind of have to be a delusional bastard to
Fuck
be
yeah,
an
that's
artist.
what I'm thinking. That's what I'm. The more I get older, the more I want to succeed. The more like you know what I'm saying. It's like you gotta really have this voice in your head.
Well, no one else is gonna do it for you.
Exactly my point.
Know? Like that's what I tell my brother all the time. I'm like, he's always like, you think like, what'd you think of my verse? I'm like, what do you think of your verse? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm always nitpick
Yeah.
because I'm your brother.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always tell you, oh, that bar is a struggle bar. Like, replace it. And then he's just like, I'm gonna leave it. And then I'm like, well, here we are. You should have just never said anything.
Why'd you
and just
ask
let it
me?
rip.
Yeah.
But I applaud him for just wanting to have some sort of like editor or someone look over it. Like, yeah, it's funny. Every once in a while I'll shoot him a couple words, like change it to this or like. But it's a lot of fun.
You know what's funny is I started playing when you came out with that fine ass Dominican team.
The volleyball team. There was a year, I don't know what year that was, but the Olympics came on and the Dominican volleyball team was just stacked from like
Just
from
culo,
1 to
left
15 baddies. And I was just like,
God damn.
I love the Olympics.
Yeah. When you came out with Unbelievable.
Oh yeah. See, that's example of like a mixtape that I made of songs that were like I had in the tuck, but to me it wasn't like an album's worth. So I kind of just like
LP.
put them all together as a one file in YouTube.
Yeah.
And then it got some traction on YouTube, and I was like, all right, I might as well put it on.
God, I thought it was so
streaming.
good. I started singing.
There's some good stuff on there.
I started putting a Big Old Bitch on.
Yeah.
While my son was in the car.
Oh no.
It's so funny because I started hearing him kind of like, you know, like he loves it. Like I'd look back and he'd be like, I was like, shit.
I was gonna say, so I listened to your episode with him, and I imagine you're a proud dad, but he's so smart and so like articulate. It's almost like scary, like how well spoken he is. I'm just like, is this AI? Like he's so smart and so articulate. It's very impressive. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you could tell he's just, I don't know if he like really likes to read or for whatever reason, like, I don't know. He's just incredibly well. I work with kids, and a lot of them, some of them are good at formulating sentences. Some of them are not. And he's like top level. So good on you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Shout out to Mars.
You ask him one of like, so I'd be like, hey, what's one of your favorite things to do with me? And then I was like, what's one of your favorite things that you like to do with your mom? And he's like, talk. So they can just like go. Exactly.
Yeah. God, that must be exhausting for you.
No, I swear to God, sometimes I'll have him like on weekends, and then I go drop him off at his mom's, and I'm back home, and I'm like,
so
it's
quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
No, kids, they're awesome, man. And you know, you're always gonna get a raw point of view. They don't hold back. They're super honest. And also, they'll say some shit that you didn't even think of sometimes. You're like, oh, damn. Like, you thought you had it figured out, but your lenses are a little fogged up, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems cool.
Taught me so much.
I bet. I'm kind of still straddling the line of the kids thing. Like, I can't tell what I value more, like possibly having a child or my independent freedom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh shit, but it's there, huh?
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I've also, like I said, I've lived a double life since I was like 16. Like, I've worked with kids in childcare. I still do. But I'm also like this rapper guy.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
it's
like,
wild.
it's very interesting. Like, every once in a while, I've had like parents find out. I had this one mom like stalk me.
Does she like you?
Yeah, it was a problem.
You dog, you.
It was a problem.
Was it kind of hot
I had
though?
to leave that location. Well, she was not, but
Okay.
I had to leave that. I got a promotion, luckily, just in time to where I never had to see her again.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But it went from a very like casual, hi, nice shirt conversation for me, and then it was like, next thing I know,
What you doing on Thursday night?
Googling me.
She's Googling you.
And then she found my IG, which I thought was impossible. Apparently not. And then I was like, how did you find this? And she was like, my friends say I'm like the FBI when I'm drunk. And I was like, Jesus Christ, lady.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, she's DMing me in shadow mode. And then I'm like, well, this is gonna be a liability. So I start taking pictures, screenshots. But when you're in shadow mode, it tells the person that you're taking screenshots. So she's
What's
like,
the point of that? That's
I
like,
know.
you know, like when you send a text message and you edit it.
Yeah.
The person
Yeah,
can look
I
at
hate
your
that.
edits and
Yeah.
like, what the
What's
fuck
the
is
point?
the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Might as
So
well just
she's
fucking send
all,
an asterisk.
why are you taking screenshots? And I was like, oh my God. So I literally just like threw my phone on the ground and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And luckily, I only saw her once again, and it was just pure happenstance of seeing her in public. But yeah, the double life thing, it's slightly a struggle. Like one time I was looking at my YouTube stats on my phone, and this fifth grader was looking over my shoulder, and I didn't see him, and he was like, "Whose YouTube is that?" And I was like, "Nobody." And then he was like, "Who's Mumbles?" And I was like, and I was like,
He's a really
leave
dope
me the
rapper.
fuck alone. But it's been interesting for sure. But
So my whole show is like basically having people on here who are like, you know, don't succumb to a 9 to 5, or they do, but they're still pursuing a passion. And then ultimately, shit, it may become what helps them make a living. Like,
yeah, I know
so
what
it's
you
like they're
mean.
doing what they love and they're making a living out of it. Is what I'm saying. And so that's really what I'm trying to share with people is the fact that it's possible to do. You know what I mean? And so I
sure.
thank you for bringing up the fact that you do your passion, but you also, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta pay your bills. You gotta do what you gotta do. And
Yeah, I think also like with music in particular, it's been so devalued as far as like the ability to monetize it is pretty much non-existent now because of streaming, um, concert promoters, things like that. Like it's really difficult to make a buck. I mean, I would just advise people if you're getting into music or you want to start a band, like it starts with the quality of your music. It starts with how like practiced you are. And then really you got to go get out there, do what shows you can and just try to convert people into your fans. Cause when you do a dope live show for someone and they're going to remember that forever, therefore they'll be your fan forever. And they'll be willing to throw you a couple bucks for a shirt or whatever. Like, but I could post a song on Instagram like, hey, here's the cover, here's the song. They could even like it. That does not mean they're going to click it. And even if they click it, I'm getting 0.00007 cents.
Right.
So like music is a labor of love now, you know? That's how it is. It's unless you blow or you know somebody who's going to help you blow up, like you really just got to do it for yourself and hope for the best. And ultimately it creates a good product because if you're making music that you like, it's self-satisfying, and then if people like it, it's satisfying for them. But it's a tough endeavor, man. It's even like producing or like being a recording engineer now, like it's so fucking like flooded. It's a rough ticket. But it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you got to be that much better than anybody else.
yeah.
And you got to come with an angle that's very unique. Like that Doechii rapper girl, have you seen her?
Yeah. The girl that shaved her head
Like, yeah,
completely.
she's sick as fuck. She came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, I know she's been making music for like 5-6 years, but it's like she's so dope that it's undeniably the best. Like that's what you got to do. But it's very daunting because in order to get good at music, you have to put in a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
And there's so many angles of it. Like you could write a great song, but if you don't know how to record it yourself and you don't have no money to pay someone else to do it, you're toast. But it's fun.
Yeah.
Playing shows is fun.
Yeah.
Even if it's for like 10 people.
Yeah.
Like it's the most expressive thing you can do. I still go to karaoke nights all the time and like people are like, "Are you like do you do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah."